Secretly recorded from deep inside the bowels of a decommissioned missile silo, we bring you the man, one single man who wants to bring light to the darkness and dark to the lightness. Although he's not always right, he is always certain. So now, with security protocols in place, the protesters have been forced back behind the barricades and the blast doors are now sealed. Without further delay, let me introduce you to the host of podcast, Mr. Tim Hutner.
Thank you, Sergeant-at-Arms. You can now take your post.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the individual and participants. These views and opinions expressed do not represent those of the host or the show. The opinions in this broadcast are not to replace your legal, medical, or spiritual professionals. Welcome to Nutcast. Today, 6/15/2025. Been kind of a thing at the old cast. Some things happened, and if you've been in the news, you know what's kind of going on in the Minneapolis area. So I'm going to kind of touch on some of that today. Seeing how one of our show guys, who was part of this show, a very big part of it, sustained a life-threatening injury. So if you'll stand by, podcast, take a break, we'll come back and we'll talk about it.
Is your patriotism showing? Freedom Flag and Pole has everything you need to display your American pride. Visit freedomflagandpole.com today to browse durable, high-quality flags to sturdy, easy-to-install flagpoles. Freedom Flag and Pole makes it simple to honor the red, white, and blue. Show your support for our nation, your community, or even your favorite holiday. Freedom Flag and Pole offers a wide variety of flags and sizes to fit any need. Visit them online at freedomflagandpole.com. That's freedomflagandpole.com to get your flag flying high.
Welcome back to Hutcast. Kind of a tough week here at the tough couple days here at the Hutcast underground bunker. We've had some issues in our local city where a gunman tried to end the lives of some friends of mine. And if you are in the news and you get to watch this and you get to see what's going on, our friend has been on the show a couple times. He has been an advocate, a huge advocate, for persons with disabilities. He is a Health and Human Services Director Chair. So I mean, he's kind of a big deal. Last night, at about 2:00 in the morning, I mean, you're seeing all the news, but this is going to be my rendition of it. And again, we hang out on a regular basis. And I'll tell you what, this is really kind of a thing. So I'm trying to get through this episode to pay him honor, his family honor, and the other Hortmans honor as well. It's about 2 in the morning. A gunman came to the residence of Senator John Hoffman. I don't know the particulars yet. He's still in intensive care. She got out of ICU yesterday and was shot 3 times. I don't know how many bullets John had sustained. I do see that the news reports have bullet holes going through their front door. About 7 of them is what I counted. She took 3 in the stomach. Again, I don't know how many he took. And where the other ones went, I don't know. The single gunman decided that he didn't like the way, as far as I know, in the news reports, like everyone else got the same data. He didn't like the way John voted for something on the omnibus bill in the state of Minnesota at the Senate level. So whoever this guy is, I mean, we have suspects. We don't know nothing quite yet. I mean, they're pretty sure. I mean, the city of Champlin's dotted with the flock camera systems, which I was a huge proponent for in both cities of mine and where I work. I can only imagine that with the AI camera systems that flock that imposes, it's a very high-tech camera. You can say, I want to see every car that has a plate that starts with an L, or it says police, or it has a roof rack, or it's a white car, it's a blue car. Whatever you want to say on the AI function of this camera, it will do so. I do know that Champlin has 3-4 of them at all major intersections, which would be an egress and or degress from John's place of residence to his next victim's house, which were the Hortons. You would have to take this path, and I know there's a camera on that road. This assailant, from what I understand, has a police vehicle, like an ex-governmentcars.com thing where you buy up a old squad and you do this. You can have the lights are on it. I mean, I seen amber lights and I've seen red lights. I didn't see any blue. So I don't know where this municipality or this government agency got rid of this car. It was a Ford product, had license plates that said police. He was dressed in full TAC uniform. He had a vest with a cross draw on it. If you're not weapons people, a cross draw is if your strong hand is your right, then you cross across your chest to grab a left-handed mounted weapon, which you'll never use with your left hand, and vice versa, and a side arm, which was also strapped to the leg. Typical operator entry materials you would get as a tactical officer, as a special forces officer, or whatever operative you would do. I mean, it's all stuff everywhere. Get it anywhere. I don't know if he was wearing a bulletproof vest. No one would know that yet because you can get the vests without the G3, G5 ratings. But he either knocked on the door or he opened the door. All three of them were at the door. The wife, the daughter, and John. So I can only imagine there was enough time for everyone to get up and find out what's going on. They just got back from this wonderful dinner that they all had at, and they get to the door. They get to the door, and there was a scuffle of some sort. I can only imagine that he tried to gain entry, and John stopped the entry of it. I mean, a forceful entry, pushed back, because you don't shoot through a door unless the door is either closed or got closed on you. Again, these are all theories until we have a conversation with John. But he shot through the door. At that point, nobody quite knows what's going on. Then he goes over to the Hortman's residence, which is about 3 miles, 4 miles maybe from the Hoffman residence. I would imagine this assailant learned some things at the first stop. Maybe he didn't get enough time, maybe, who knows. Gets in the driveway, turns the lights on, impersonating. Hortman's come down to the front door. The assailant gains entry there. He shoots them. And again, there's something we don't know. We'll never know what's going on the inside of this. Only the police would have that kind of rough idea of how things were and the way it kind of laid out. But then, as reported by the news, he exited the house. At that point, because the Hoffman residents were under police lockdown, the police chief of Champlin says, hey, we should probably go check on the next local state representative, state employee, the policymakers of our city and state and government. Oddly enough, as they roll up, they see the lights on this ex-police car, and they thought, okay, I mean, what else do you think? But there's someone already here. And as soon as they pulled up, I guess the assailant started gunfire towards the police. At that point, they knew he was the perpetrator. The assailant went back into the Hortman's house. I don't know for how long. He gets out of the back of it and is on the run. I mean, at this point, he's gotten through the house. He's out the back. They're calling for backup, I would imagine. There's only two of them. I mean, you can't really cover both sides until you have the time. And he leaves. The rest is kind of like in the news. But I want to make one thing really ultra clear at this point. I've known John for a number of years. I don't know the Hartmans. They were scheduled to be on the show. I was hoping to get him on the show, and it just never got together. It was something that just kind of happened. It was everybody knows we're a very political show, and to be clear, John was a proponent for the 2A. He wasn't against guns at all. I mean, because we always had this thing about, it's never a gun issue. It's a mental health issue. And this perpetrator obviously wasn't in his right mind. He decided that for some reason, the way they voted went against his moral compass, and he decided he was going to clean the plate, to say. But let's go back to the actual 2A thing. Again, I've been shooting with John. He's a great shot. He's all for responsible gun ownership, and this was obviously something way outside. I hope he still has that same stance, because what a tragic thing to go through. I can't even begin to think about how in your own home being violated at gunpoint, disabling your wife, aiming for your child, and shooting you at the same, with the same altercation. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a very tough one. But I want you to take a moment to think about your egress and egress in your home. If you were in the situation, you see lights out front. Of course, we all respect the police at that point, and we're going to say, okay, something's going on. We got to open the door and we got to talk to them. I mean, is it that point where you don't just open the door and say, hey, what's going on? I mean, would you go to the door with a weapon in your hand? I mean, I think, if everybody has a close proximity to their protection, is it not that thing? As a big two-way staunch gun guy myself, I don't even travel without. I don't go to the store without. I don't. But in your own home is kind of a different thing. You have this sense of security. This thing that thinks, hey, you're kind of untouchable in your own fortress. It makes you rethink that idea. And a lot of people say they home carry. I don't know about. Do you want to be around everything all day with a weapon on your hip or shoulder or holster or whatever it is? I mean, it seems like a heck of a gig to be like dealing with. So this leaves a lot of questions in everyone's mind. Of course, our main function is to protect our own at every cost. And I'm sure John did that by the altercation at the front door. But see, they have these things called combat multipliers. The combat multiplier is any situation where if you bring a slingshot, I'm going to bring a bat. If you bring a bat, I'm going to bring a bigger bat. And then it gets to the point where now I got a gun and you got a bazooka. Eventually, you're going to run out of hardware. Eventually, that's going to be the end of what's going on. Then you have to have the tactical advantage, the surprise, the combat of being able to react instead of reaction. And this is all basic Operator Handbook 101 stuff. So there's nothing new here. But this guy knew this tactical advantage. Sometimes I think that this guy is a ex-security of some sort. What did he do? How did he get this interest? But, I see some flaw in this logic. What I don't understand is the guy gets a squad. He gets it lit up. He has a siren on it. Kind of a weird siren. It wasn't a normal siren is what they're telling everybody. He has a tactical vest. He has, again, that's easily explainable because he can get it anywhere. He was in a blue uniform. Well, we don't know what the uniform said, but there's a lot of blue uniforms out in the world. And if you're covered by a tac vest, you ain't going to know what it is anyway. It could be a laundry guy or a Lay's potato chips guy. I mean, there's all kinds of maybes and what ifs, but blue is easy to get. It wasn't the normal color blue you'd see on a police officer either. It's really, really, really dark, or it's going to be kind of like a light blue. At least the ones I've seen in blue. He gets his vest. He covers up the chest of himself. He's got his cross draw. He's got his hip holster or weapon. But reportedly at the Hortman house, the neighbors heard gunshots. Now here's where I'm going with this. If you can get all this stuff and you've planned this and you're in the security mode of things, and if he had this list, which the news is saying he had a kill list, and he thought all this stuff out, why wouldn't you have a silencer? Where does can go? In the world of weapons, the can is a silencer. So he goes and makes all this noise without a can on there. He wants to go to the next on his list without a can on there. Eventually, other than the police catching up and alerting all the House of Representatives and the senators of this state and the geographic location where he's got this to be, why didn't he plan that? Why didn't that happen? I don't know that answer. Because the decisions that these senators made at the last omnibus bill was not too long ago, a couple of days ago, I think Wednesday or Tuesday. I mean, I talked to John on Wednesday, and he says, "Yeah, we're all done," and it was an ass kicker this time with all the things that they had to get done. And when he's spent like that, they're busy. But I just can't figure out if you're going to really process this, and a mistake well made on behalf of John and all the other senators that were in that target list. But you just don't plan like that. Not if you're an operator. An operator is a weapons specialist, a tactical entry team, one of those guys that do this for a living, do the whole beard thing, and they still stuck in Afghanistan or wherever they're at, whatever the operating theater was. I don't know, kind of a big thing around here today. Yesterday was a day of solace. We've lowered our flag to half-staff. We've urged people in the community to do the same. And I want to begin to tell you about our festival in our city that this happened in. And then things kind of get brushed under the rug. And I'll tell you what, I jumped to high heaven on a lot of people saying this cannot happen today. And nobody wanted to cancel that huge setup. But, he's within our city. He's a sitting senator who has worked for this city out of respect. And the fact that this guy's still on the loose, logic says you shut that off. You can't put that in people's way. And they were going to continue to do it. And they even sent a police report out saying, oh, this is a good thing, life's good. But there's no Salem been caught. I mean, you got kids, on that night they were supposed to have fireworks. Now imagine the kind of cover you would have if you were in the crowd. Think about that. Wow. You're in the crowd, fireworks going off. You could literally shoot into a group of people and no one would hear. You could be right next to this guy and he's shooting and you wouldn't know it. But, if you can't figure out the can process, I don't know if you would have thought of that. And really, it's more targeted towards political people versus anybody. But people like that are mentally stable. At what point does he run out of opportunity and finds a target-rich opportunity like a festival or a, you can't. It's a mental health issue. This is not a gun issue. There's something in this guy's head that snapped. You ain't going to figure it out. You're going to fix it. You just got to contain these guys. The left's going to say, oh, we're going to do more gun control. We're going to do this. Again, it's not a gun issue. The gun was the tool used in the crime. It's no more than a hammer issue. It's no more than a car driving into a bunch of people, the one down in Virginia, that deal, like that kid who drove into the crowd. Now we're going to start banning cars? Come on. There's got to be a little more common sense than this. Left don't get it because they're scared of them, and you should be scared of weapons, absolutely, but you can't be scared of the weapon itself. You got to be scared of the people behind the weapon, the desperate people, because desperate people do desperate things, and he made that choice. This shooter, what choice is he going to make next? Is it you? Is it your neighbor? I'm kind of a big 2A carry guy myself. I would rather have a fire extinguisher and not need it than need one and not have it. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt to carry. Yeah, you got to go and certify, and you got to get state certified, and blah blah blah. It's a crap show. I mean, but you can either do that or carry illegally, which is now a felony. It's always been a felony. And people who follow the law don't create felonies. They follow the law. I would be interested to find out what type of weapon this guy had. Because what I saw were 2 pistols. I did not see an AR platform. I did not see an AK platform. I didn't see any rifle-based platforms. And that'll soon come out. So think to yourself, what would you rather have? The fire extinguisher or not? What if you're in a McDonald's? And this guy, the state law is very, very, is very directive on how you can use your weapon to protect oneself of imminent harm and danger. And we've had Gene German was on the show a while back, a couple years ago, and we did a 9-part series or 7-part series of what to do and what not to do. And I'm going to have him back on again, especially after this deal. And the law says that you cannot protect anybody else unless it's your family and or you. So you're just going to stand there and let this guy pop off kids in McDonald's because you don't want to get in trouble? Oh, man. Can you live with yourself at that point? If you can, you're on the wrong show. Go find somewhere else to listen because you're dead wrong. You have to engage. Someone's life depends on it. And you're the only one that's going to do it. And the police cannot do it. The police cannot get there. They cannot precog this event. They're there to take a statement, to write a report, and bag people up because that's literally all they can do. They've in the quantum of time just can't do that. So think about that as a person, a human, listening to that gunfire and thinking to yourself, okay, what would you do in this situation? I mean, you got to ask yourself, what would you do? It's not an easy question. You will have lawsuit after lawsuit. You'll have the AG coming down on you. You'll have, just because you're the guy who protected somebody. And every gun trainer, whether it's Leoso, whether it's Gene German, whether it's your local guys, will tell you the same thing. You're in for a crap show. But is that crap show worth someone's life? Are you ready to say, no, I'm not engaged in this because I don't want to get in trouble? Man, you didn't get in trouble. You were already at trouble. Trouble came to you. And then you got to figure out the term FAFO. Yeah, look it up. If they're in your AO, it's area of operation, and they come into you and they're killing people around you, would you not engage that? Because as soon as he sweeps that gun in front of you, at that point, you have the right to protect yourself of imminent harm. And you have to remember that name, because Gene says that a lot. Gene says, you have to make it say you are of imminent harm. And certainly God, when the cops get there, tell them you had to save your life, imminent harm, and shut up. Call your attorney at that point. You will be in total shock. That's what Gene says. I mean, I've never been in a position. You will be in total shock. You will have to do all kinds of things. They'll make you think you have to answer them cops. And they'll keep ticking you and ticking you and ticking you before the point where they say, well, we got to know this, we got to know that. Lawyer. Just say the words, lawyer. On film, on the body axion camera. Lawyer. And stop talking. All this can get worked out later. You need to compose yourself. Focus on what you know. Protect your interests. Because the interests of the family that you shot, this poor innocent person who's in there shooting people up, are going to come after you in a civil suit. Oh, you could have used a non-lethal force. You know how that crap goes. Especially in Minnesota here with the AG Ellison. You don't know how that's going to play out. So protect yourself. Just close your mouth. So it's been kind of a weird week for us. Been kind of a weird couple days. Currently, the wife is up and about. Well, she's up. I don't know if she's about, but she's awake, and she's the one that took 3 to the stomach. I have not talked to them yet. I'm waiting for a okay to go up and visit them in the hospital. Okay, well, I'm getting sidetracked now. Let's take a break. And I think what I'm going to do in the next segment here is let's talk about the shooter. Let's talk about what he did, and then we'll talk about who he's associated with and who's he affiliated with, because this will totally trip your trigger. Podcast can take a break. We'll come right back.
This grilling season, take your taste buds to the next level. The sauce that'll change your barbecue forever. O. Eddie's Whiskey Bourbon Sauce is going to be at the Anoka County Fair. O. Eddie's Whiskey Bourbon Sauce is all about that split second when the tender meat and delectable sauce touches your taste buds. Don't believe me? Chef Richard Cooper is bringing O. Eddie's Whiskey Bourbon Sauce to the Anoka County Fair so you can taste it and become a believer yourself. O. Eddie's Whiskey Bourbon Sauce, the sauce that's worth the wait.
Welcome back to Podcast. Okay, let's talk about this guy, this perpetrator, this shooter. Now, all I can give you is information based upon out in the world. But I can tell you, by looking at his folder, his file, the online dossier, if you will, he looks like a staunch left with tactical experience. He's not afraid to engage. I mean, that's obviously because of the No Kings pamphlets in his car, in his fake car, his cop car. I believe that was a cop car. I have to check that one. But you don't have 500 copies of this if you're just going to be there with one person. So he had intentions of being at the No Kings protest. The ones that are not violent and within the law, those kind. And he's a 6'2", he's 200 and some pounds, 220. He's a big guy. I mean, there's no doubt about this guy is well trained. He's 57 years old. Again, I don't know why I didn't think about doing the can, because those are things that you wouldn't forget. Now, his squad, the X Squad, it looks like a Ford product, license plate police. Right now it's at Twin Cities Impound. That's where Brooklyn Center has their tow trucks. That's where they get it from. And, of course, that itself is a crime scene. I'm looking at the video of him wearing the mask, and I can see, being at John's house, his car in the driveway, his house with the brick in the front. There's a lot of things there that you've seen it. I mean, you've been there. What set this guy off? You talk to his roommates that they get online and they start saying, well, he was a guy who was against abortion and who was this, that, the other. I get that. I get it. If you got a stance, you take it. But you don't take it like this. So this Vance guy, let me do it this way. The KSTP, they have a thing on their website. It says authorities have confirmed a 57-year-old Vance Boelter is a suspect sought in the connection with the shootings. Well, if you've confirmed the 57-year-old that he's the shooter, how can he be the suspect? I mean, of course, you got to have due process, but I think they know more than they're telling the rest of us. Let's see here. Upstate lawmakers Melissa Hartman and John Hoffman were not in custody, but the authorities say that they did not believe he is in the Brooklyn Park area anymore. No, I wouldn't think this guy is probably in Minnesota anymore. You can't write this stuff, people. This is insane. This is insanity to the next level of why they go and target. And if you do look at the KSTP website, and you'll see, I'm looking at the door now. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 maybe. 11 shots at the door. Now, I do see that the screen door is closed, or the glass door is closed. He has a 2-part door. His first one is a glass coverage, like a screen door, but and I don't see any damage to that. So I believe the door was already open, the first door, and then the second door got opened after that, and then they closed it, or they shut it on him, or did something. Even the glass next to the door, I don't know if I do see that, any damage to the glass. I can't see that online, so, and I haven't been to the house yet, so, yeah. It's kind of a crazy gig. But this Vance guy, I mean, if you listen to his online, it looks like he was looking for a job or something. This online process of this is who I am. I mean, it's common practice to, when you're looking for a job, you start doing your interview, and listening to him. He's not afraid of death, because that's his job. He was a funeral director. He went and gathered bodies after events. It was not like a thing for him. It didn't matter. I mean, to him, it was just another Thursday night. But here's the kick in the junk on this one. Guess who he worked for in the state of Minnesota? And this is probably already common sense to a lot of people around here. They've already heard the process. But he was appointed by Governor Tim Walz to work in some part of his administration. His term ended in 23. He was appointed to that position. And I think it was appointed to the Workforce Development Board in 19 to 23. And he was also in there in 16, 19, and 23. So he's no dummy. He knows what, where, and who, and how, and he's well versed in the political arena. Yeah, it's kind of a thing. Google his name, Vance, Boelter. And for you guys across the country, he's a local guy. Of course, he would have to be if he was appointed to a government agency, the Workforce Development Board. He wore a mask at Hoffman's place. I see the mask. I don't know if that mask is at the other place as well. I don't know that. But on one picture, the NBC News has a picture of him opening the glass door and knocking on the other door. Knocking, ringing. What do you do at 2 a.m? How does that work? You get up at 2 a.m. You see lights outside your window. Again, they're amber and red, not amber. And I mean, would cops have amber? I suppose they would, if they were running their directional beams to steer traffic on the backside. Their arrow stick, they call it. Yeah, they're going to catch this guy. Then they're going to teach him the word FAFO. I can only imagine his family and friends and wives. And I heard they didn't catch. There was a driving infraction, wink, wink, that his wife was driving the car, and I'm just assuming that he wouldn't have been, they would have picked her up right away, and I don't know why they would wait. I suppose that they could probably get to him. Incredible information, incredible stuff. There's lawmakers all over the country. Let's not forget that the Governor Walz was in D.C. getting grilled about his activities of not following the federal law just the day before. I mean, I'm not no conspiracy theorist, but I find it awful odd that all of a sudden we got something in this state that's next level, and we had a next level, which was our governor being grilled, and rightly so, by the way, by some federal senators who were giving him the kung fu like nobody's business. I think Nancy Mace had a funny one where She looks at Waltz and says, Waltz, tell me what a woman is. After about 3 minutes of silence and him pondering and looking like a fool, he says, I don't understand the question. Well, think about that question, and if you were in that spot. He's pro, anti-gender, all this, whatever he does. If you think it, you're it. If you're a turtle, you're it. If you're a frog, you're it. And if he would have answered that question in any other way than X and Y chromosomes, he would have had all these people that he was defending and making their choices for what sex they want to be, what person they want to be, a binary, non-binary, whatever that is. He would have had a problem at that. That was a tough question, and very simple question to be that tough, because of his ideology is so out in left field that you can answer it with repercussion on both sides of that. What is a woman? I don't know if you guys follow Nancy Mace. I do. She's out of South Carolina. And she's a pistol. She's one to keep an eye on. If anybody's going to make president the next round, it's going to be her. We used to think that about the Florida governor, too, DeSantis, but Trump stepped on that one. Another thing about this assailant, if they've got an APB out on this guy, and one of the pictures of him wearing a cowboy hat, and I don't know about any of you guys out there, but Minnesota, if you're walking around carrying a cowboy hat, you might as well wear a 15-foot flag that says, I'm the guy that did it. Nobody wears a cowboy hat here. So if he's actually still walking around with the cowboy hat on, I would be very surprised that this guy's doing that. Because there's just no way that nobody would be that stupid. But hey, he is mentally incapacitated right now because of what he did. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of cowboy hat, Minnesota. Okay, yes, you can wear them. Yes, that is kind of fun. It keeps the sun off, keeps the rain off. I get it. But if you're on the lam, would you really wear a thing that says that? I mean, I could look at 100 people and see if there's a hat on. So your chances of getting nicked are a whole lot more than if you just didn't have one. And you look at some of the pictures of him. He's military somewhere. He's got the crew cut. I'd like to know his record. See if he LeBron Lamont. Yeah, he's kind of like all over the place. Okay, we got a Red Lion group. He's Dr. Vance Boelter, E.D.D. second. Yeah, so search him out. Do a little research on this guy if you've got nothing to do. But again, our hearts go out to the guys and women who got targeted by this POS. Yeah. And as a side note, yes, the area in which the city in which he lives in did stop their events for the rest of the weekend. It was a smart move. I don't know if I told you that earlier in the mix, but yeah, kind of a thing. His poor roommates are going through a whole crap show. This Boelter's roommates, Boelter, yeah. Okay, he's going to be on the target of news for a long time. I hope that, again, we don't take away from the evidence of what Waltz went through, because Waltz still has answers to do here. He ain't just going to skate out this because now, my friends get shot and 2 others die because of some mental case. But we still have Waltz to answer to, and I want you guys to hold him to the fire. Vote accordingly. Vote someone who's out take care of the people of this state. There was some people that say, "Oh, thank you for your leadership, Governor Waltz." There was no leadership here. You're following, just like everybody else. You can't lead this. It's all about following. So that's about it for now. I'm going to put a fork in this, and I hope all you have a rest of a Father's Day, because it's kind of not going to be one for my buddy. And I hope that you can find it in your way to open up a Caring Bridge or a GoFundMe for him. He's going to need some help. It's under John Hoffman, Yvette Hoffman, and it's going to be for the other 2 as well, the Hortons. I'm sure they're in a situation as well. I mean, any bit helps, or at least some kind words would help. So chime in on their sites, their websites. Keep an eye out for this guy. Remember, cowboy hat, but I don't think he's going to be wearing it. Get to know what he looks like, because around here they kept everybody in the dark for a long enough time where if he did walk by me, you wouldn't know it. He'd walk up to me and sell me a bag of potato chips, and I wouldn't know who this guy would be. That's what I think. That's what I think local government has a problem with. I get it's an investigation, but if you can't employ the people to say, hey, look, keep your eyes out. This is the guy. Then what good is it? What is good having a network where you could instantly hit 5,000 people on a social media page and say, this is the guy. Keep your eyes out, without local government freaking out because you're going to scare people. Yeah, you better be scared. You better be damn scared. You better be in your house. Better lock your doors. Arm yourself. But if this guy comes to your door, you'll know exactly who he is, not after the fact. Oh, hey, I bought a watch from the guy. He was on Marketplace, and we did selling his cowboy hat. I don't know. Okay, I'm putting a fork in it this time. Be well. Again, happy if you can the rest of your Father's Day. Reach out to your kids. Hug them. Because right now there are two people that cannot. There's one father that can't. Mr. Hoffman is now in that position. And I feel very, very sorry and for his position. So we can do what we can do, and we can pay attention, and we can make sure that this don't happen to someone else. So, podcast signing off. Be well. Be vigilant. Be aware. Be awake. Sometimes you got to be mad. Signing off.
And that's a wrap for Hutcast. Hutcast is, again, a pragmatic approach to seeing things how some people see them. If you like our show, give us a thumbs up on the Facebook site. Again, for Hutcast, thank you again. Have a wonderful evening.